Hello, it's Paul Valencia from Clark County Today. To my left is Tony Liberatore from Vancouver Public Schools and Fort Vancouver High School.
Hello.
And to my right is Cale Piland from Evergreen Public Schools, the athletic director. Hey, Cale.
Hey, Paul.
Hey. So here we are. It's we're recording this, July 2nd, so we'll post it July 3rd. So happy 4th of July week, everybody. I wanted to say that in the fall, it's very possible that this podcast will be a video podcast as well. And if you guys
you weren't kidding.
Yeah.
I thought that was a joke.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I just want to tell everyone that Tony is wearing an Aqua Sox baseball. Is that a trucker hat looking like? Yeah. It's really, really cool. I wish you could see it. And even though this is audio only, you still might be able to see Cale's shirt today. It is bright and stripes and triangles and.
Like I said,
yeah. Where did you win that?
I won this in the Mark Rigo golf tournament a couple of weeks ago.
So it is a classic golf shirt.
You will wear that with pride because it's from the Mark Rigo Memorial Scholarship, and that's a great cause. So even though I'm teasing you about your shirt that is so loud that you can see this in an audio only podcast, we still got to give love to Rigo. And then what am I wearing? Oh, I'm wearing my Prince Purple Rain shirt.
Yes. How was that trip?
Oh, it was amazing. And yes, we can talk a little bit about that a bit. But yeah, went to Minneapolis for the celebration of Prince and Purple Rain 40th anniversary, and it was awesome. So yeah, maybe we'll get to that at the end of this. But today we're going to talk a little bit, again, we mostly talk sports first, and then we get into the fun other stuff. But it's in the middle of summer. We don't have a whole lot going on, but we do want to talk a little bit about summer rules and what coaches can and can't do and what athletes are expected to do, and hopefully coaches allow for time for families and stuff. We could also talk about overexcited coaches. We had one. Was it a Facebook thing from Texas where a coach said something weird about no water? Was that?
Yeah, I think it was initially Facebook, and then people screenshotted it and put it all over.
We'll get into this. But
you're right, Paul. What you said either this morning or yesterday, I still have not seen that verified.
Yes, exactly. So we'll figure that out. We'll also, talk about our Fourth of July traditions. If you guys don't mind sharing your 4th of July traditions, and of course, we celebrate Al Davis's birthday on that day, and then I'm gonna really put you guys on the spot. Are you for or are you against fireworks?
Oh,
yeah, and you know how people may. Move out of Fort Vancouver if you say the wrong answer, Tony. And people may leave Evergreen Public Schools, Cale, if you say the wrong answer.
For sure.
So yeah, we'll get
a lot of pressure, Tony. A lot of pressure.
I guess if they need a reason.
And back to sports, we have to talk about, you guys are still in first place, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone tells me you've lost.
Listen, if you said on March 30th, hey, on July 2nd, they'll have a 4-game lead, I would take it 100 times out of 100. But if you would have told me they've lost 6 games on that lead, in 9 days,
then planes, trains, and automobiles. The people are yelling at us right now. You're going the wrong way.
Somebody posted that the Mariners, or somebody, a Mariner fan said they saw something that no team with a 10-game lead at this point in the season has ever missed the playoffs.
Correct.
And some abused Mariner fan said, once I saw that tweet, I knew we were doomed.
Yes.
It would be the most Mariner thing ever.
Exactly. So I guess we just talked about the Mariners. But hey, let's go to high school sports. The summer is here, and basically the first day after spring sports is over, then all sports can practice, it's not official practice, but Cale, you explain it.
So the Monday after the state track meet is over, essentially. Right. There are some rules within football as far as phasing in things that you have to do before you would initiate any kind of practice that would have contact with yourself or contact with another school. Mm-hmm. But for all intents and purposes, when the state track meet is done, you can do pretty much whatever you want to do until August 1st.
Right. And then I think, is there a limit, 10 days in pads?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head exactly what that is, but there's a certain limit you have to build up to be able to compete against somebody. If you want to scrimmage with somebody else, or you want to go to a team camp. So there's some things that you have to do, but there is a limit to the number that you can do. And the funny thing was when they put that in place, for what we did, we had to actually have more contact practices because we were going to go to team camp, and the requirements before we could hit somebody other than union football players, we had to have X amount of contact practices, and so I had to actually add days so we would be adhering to WIAA rules.
That's funny. That's weird. But also, coaches have to understand that it's summer vacation for these student athletes. So, I mean, you put out a schedule. You hope all your guys can be there and stuff. But is there also some leeway? I mean, if a family has a vacation planned, and what do you do as a former coach or someone who's now leading coaches?
So there's a couple of things to consider when you're talking about that. One, the first thing that I always made sure happened was that I was coordinating with all of my coaches, but really with my basketball coach, whoever the head basketball coach was, because what I didn't want to do was put a kid in a position where they have to choose. Mm-hmm. We're the adults. We should be able to coordinate our schedules, our off-season schedules. So if you've got a kid who doubled as a football, basketball player, and we had a lot of them at Union, and had a lot of them at Evergreen too, that those kids were going to be able to do both without having to choose. As far as then, there would be certain things that I would have in place that, if you were a serious football player, and this schedule's going out, I'm sending this out in January, so you can make plans around that. There were certain dates, and team camp was one of them. And the practices we would have in June before we would go to team camp usually right as soon as school got out. But that was the expectation was that you were going to participate in that. Now, did we have kids from time to time who didn't? Yes, but basically once within the culture we had within our program, our kids knew from a football standpoint that it was going to be, we were going to hit the gas pedal pretty hard at the beginning of June. And then we'd be back now, and like I would give them the 4th of July week off, and then we'd have the weight room open. And the expectation was, then if you're in town, that you're coming to our workouts, and right. we would have 7-on-7 once or twice a week with that, and like, so there were times. So I guess the long-winded answer is there were some things that were not really that negotiable, and then there were other dates that were. And I think, like I said, once you have an established program, families can understand that, and they make their plans around what you need to be doing during the off season.
Tony, when you were an assistant coach, was that similar over at
Yeah, especially with the multi-sport athletes. We wanted to ensure our best kids, even when River was a 4A school, they played one or two other sports. Yep. I automatically think of Brett Pierce and Billy Knotts. Mm-hmm. Pierce was a 3-sport guy. Knotts was 3. He threw discus and track. Not a lot of stuff going on in the summer track, but for basketball, just making sure. And that's what I was thinking of when Cale was talking, is from when I started as assistant and then when I left as AD, the summer expectations compounded exponentially of what you were going to do. I think, like, I can remember, like, Coach O'Rourke asking me, like, hey, maybe next Tuesday, can you just open the weight room for kids? just kind of like on a whim, like in, summer 1997. Hey, right. And that's, and then now it's like, it's going to be every day. And
someone is opening the weight room every day, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, it's just one of those things kind of where we did it to ourselves. I can remember we got it when I attended Mountain View, going into my junior year, we got a new coach, and nobody was doing team camp down here at that time. So this would have been summer of 1990, and he came in, and we went over to Boise State, and then we did my senior year as well. But that was there weren't a lot of schools around here that were, and there weren't, quite frankly, there weren't a lot of camps of it. That was one of the only. That's why we went all the way to Boise, because there wasn't anywhere else locally to go. Yeah. It was kind of at that point in time where things kind of started turning that way, and now for the most part, it's kind of a given. And you're going to play, X amount of basketball games over the course of a summer. Obviously, baseball's always been, and there's stuff going on with that. Yeah, I mean, there's summer workouts and it used to be for coaches too. Like, so there was a point in time where football coaches showed up in August.
Yeah.
Right. And they started that's when they started coaching.
That's what
right?
it was.
And now not only are you coaching June and July, but you're also, as far as the level, the commitments that we would have as a staff to be making sure that we were meeting and we were prepared and diagnosing what we wanted to do going into the season and having that plan ready to go. It's not. You don't show up on August 26th or whatever the first day is and just start there. That doesn't happen anymore.
Go teach dive. Here we go.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, you guys look, speaking of, again, looking, you can't see this in the podcast, but you guys look a lot younger than me. But it's not, aren't 100 years younger than me. But I graduated in 89, so my last football season was 88. And I was over in Oregon at David Douglas High School. And yeah, it was weird. There was no team camp. We worked out every day of the summer, but it was kind of on our own. And then you had some conditioning. And then I remember in the Oregonian, they would have ads, like these little colleges would have ads for, hey, come to a camp. Mm-hmm. And you had to pay for the camp, but if you wanted to go, you went as an individual, and
yes.
You had to go to your high school coach to get your gear checked out for you. And, my mom asked, hey, do you want to go to that? I kind of wish I would have taken her up on that, but I was also having fun with summer, and none of my teammates were going to go to this thing because it wasn't a team thing. It was just individually. Yeah. Individuals could do it on their own if they wanted to.
Well, those camps now, and I guess that was probably part of the motivation when they started them, but those camps now, if it's a division, if it's like you're going to camp at the University of Oregon, it's a recruiting tool for the University of Oregon. Right. So they will want certain teams to be there, and they will also still so they would. Oftentimes, that team was referred to as the renegade team. It was the team of kids who just showed up. Right. So they would also invite. They want to be able to see the kid can really play, and it also lets them coach him for a week or however long, 4 days, however long you're there. So they really get to know what's going on with that kid. So at that level, it's a huge recruiting tool. At some of the smaller, like Central Washington runs a team camp. And it's a very popular team camp in for schools in the state of Washington. But a lot of that too, that's financially motivated for them, and how they pay their coaches. I mean, that's a good chunk of like if you are trying to elevate what you're able to pay a Division II offensive line coach. Well, here's the salary that the university is going to allow, or they're going to allow you to give them. But then now you're going to get paid as a coach at this camp to be able to supplement. So they're trying to figure out ways to make it financially viable to hold on to some good coaches too.
That's really deep in the weeds, isn't it, Tony?
It is. But that's
that's what I love about this stuff is you guys are experts in a different field than I like watching football. But it's funny. I always tell people how different it is in a lifetime, basically, since I've been in high school. My senior year in Oregon, Benson won the football title because, as you were saying, Cale, back then it was, a few stars might go to these camps on their own, but for the most part, you needed 10 to 15 really good athletes, great coaches, and you're going from middle of August from the first week of conditioning and then the last 2 weeks for practice. And everybody kind of started at the same time, and it really was a 3.5, 4 month a year commitment for football players for the most part. And now it's 9, 10 months, 11 months for anybody who wants to be good. The Camases and Skyviews of the world. Yes, I said Skyview. The Camases.
Except when they're playing Camas.
Exactly. And by the way, John Lambert, that's for you. Lambert loves it when you pick on me with this perception that I don't like Skyview, and I love Skyview, and I love Coach Kaiser.
Just not as much as you love Camas.
It's not no. It's not that. I don't care who wins. I really want to know
what you're going to do now, though, because your high school classmate is the head coach at Union. So, I mean, really, are you going to become a Union homer?
Am I going to be a Union homer? All I know
but
is...
he can root for all three. Yeah. I mean, this is
just not when they play Camas, right? That's right.
I am not a Camas homer. Until Skyview beats them, I will not believe until it happens. Okay. It's one of those things. It's just.
But getting back to what you were talking about, the fact that your senior year in high school, Benson Tech won the large school state championship in Oregon.
Yes,
and I think last year was the first year, or this year is the first year. They're bringing the football program. They disbanded the football program.
Exactly. to give an equivalent of where Benson, about 10, 15 years ago, I think it was, I mean, maybe 10 years ago, Benson was kind of where Fort Vancouver was. And so people around here know, I'm not ripping on Fort Vancouver, but Fort Vancouver football struggled for many, many years. And that's where Benson went. And in my lifetime, Benson won the state title.
Yeah.
And because back then high school sports was a 3 or 4 month commitment, and now, as we just talked about, all summer long, if you're a serious football player, as you said, Cale, you're practicing almost every day, or at least working out every day with your team. And if you're taking a week-long, no one's going to mind if you take one day off because mom and dad want to go on a 3-day vacation and you take Friday off or whatever or something. I shouldn't say no one's going to mind, but there's leeway. But you're not taking a week off in the middle of June or even in the middle of July if the schedule says, no, we're working out that week.
Yep.
So anyway, fascinating stuff. So, all right, what do we want to do? We wanted to move on. Now, coaches who might be a little extreme with this stuff. Now, we saw something. What Tony sent us something from Facebook, right? On a coach who.
Yeah, it was a post from Facebook, but I got it on Twitter.
Right,
and it was allegedly a Texas coach, essentially just refuting everything you just said, right? Or not refuting, but like we're practicing in the summer and it gets hot, and we're trying to make men.
We're trying to make
men out of boys. Trying to make you tough.
But anyways, the thing that stood out to me, especially now, is as an administrator who oversaw football program, coached many years in a football program, and then thinking how the WIAA has approached these types of things. Mm-hmm. I think what I sent to you and Cale was like this at minimum would be a letter from HR.
Right. Oh yeah, easy.
I mean, if you publicly say that,
let's
go ahead.
Let's build it up. The coach basically said, "You'll get water breaks when I say you'll get water breaks. You will not take water whenever you want to." And there are a few other things about this thing, and I'm reading it going, "This is crazy. This is 1960s, 1970s thought." And even when I played, our coaches gave us plenty of water breaks, but still, it was go get water when you want to get water. I mean, And so when I saw this thing, I thought this was fake or hyperbole for effect. And was it real? We still never just found out if it was real. But Cale, when you read that thing, what were you thinking?
I just laughed. I'm like, all right, well, like Tony said, at the very least, it's a letter from HR, if not termination. I mean. Because now you've put the entire school district in jeopardy from a legal standpoint because, I mean, even like you said, even back when we were playing, but definitely when I started coaching, it was never to this Junction Boys mentality of there's no water. Mm-hmm. If we, as a coach, if a kid said he needed water and you said no, I mean you're done. I mean, you're going to put yourself in jeopardy because then if any kid were to go down and have a heat stroke or something on the field and be like, well, he doesn't give them water when they say they need water. Well, that's a problem.
Right. And this was Texas and they were talking about the heat, but it could be in the middle of January in basketball practice.
100%.
If someone needs water, you get water. And it's just crazy to me that there's a coach nowadays out there who thinks that he can say that. So that's why I think
and it's not verified because the name of, I presume, the coach and the school has been blacked out, even on the screenshots that were posted. So
that makes it look like maybe it's real.
There's that, but I can't. But where I found it was the Twitter account called Bad Medical Takes.
Okay, Bad Medical Takes.
Because
that's a bad medical take.
The coach says the simple fact is that nobody has ever died from being too warm outside.
Yeah. But anyway, I think my joke on our text messages, this is Cale back in the 80s. This was Cale.
Is that Cale at 04?
At Evergreen. This is how Evergreen won it all. You will not get water.
I believe in work, not woke.
Yeah. You can drink in December.
That's right.
You can drink water in December.
That's right.
We got work to do. Anyway, that was kind of crazy. So, hey, let's go more positive. No, I just a little update on Brooklyn Haywood, our going to be a junior and we talked about her before. Dozens of Division I basketball scholarship offers already, but I was sent a link. She was on a podcast, some national podcast, and gosh, I just had it in front of me, and now I might have lost it, but I'll find it again. I promise I'll find it again. But it was like Sports Live, Sports Live Talk. I can't. Yeah. Anyway, but it's who's got next, and it's a podcast. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link to this podcast on my Twitter account when our podcast goes out. But there's a guy from Texas, and this group from Texas, they talk to people all over the country who's got next, like young stars. I mean, apparently even 8th graders or 7th graders or whatever.
That's a good idea.
And the person calls himself the Mouth of the South. This guy introduced Brooklyn in such a way on this podcast. I want this guy to speak at my eulogy. This guy is the biggest hype machine ever. And I promise I'll put the link to the podcast on my Twitter account. But I wanted to just say thank you to that person who is just so positive for high school athletes and young athletes all over the country. And Brooklyn got this, got a chance to be interviewed for about 45 minutes or an hour, and it's interesting. It was fun, and I just wanted to say shout out to those guys.
Cool.
Yeah, Cale, Tony, anything? Yeah, I mean,
nope.
you haven't seen. Yeah,
I'll be listening to the
haven't
the
seen
introduction,
it yet, but it's really cool. So yeah, and then the other thing that we saw was it Eli Sports?
Yes.
All right, Tony, you saw that today, so. And because I know you're a Fort Vancouver guy now, but you have a little love for Columbia River, and so you wanted to announce something.
Well, really, what I did see this retweeted by a few people. So Eli Sports Network, which is, do they do Washington and Oregon or just Washington, Paul? Do you know?
I think they just do Washington.
Washington. Okay, so they do what they call a Champion of Champions, which is they have their own scoring system. Mm-hmm. Based on WIAA state finishes, and Clark County represented twice. Columbia River was the overall champion of champion, and then Camas was second.
Right.
So champion of champion, they take all classifications.
Yeah.
So, and it's both boys and girls.
And both boys and girls.
Mm-hmm. So if you get 25 points for a state title, 20 points for second place, or something like that, and unlike the WIAA Scholastic Cup thing that we talked about last podcast, that takes into account.
You can have academics
and sportsmanship.
Yep.
So this one is just how you finished
on the field
of play, and the top 2 schools in the state of Washington are from Clark County. So give it up for Columbia River and Camas.
Hey.
But that's pretty darn cool, and thank you, Eli Sports, for doing that.
But by chance, do you know how many points Skyview had?
There we go. Hey, our 12 listeners are going to think that I don't like Skyview, and
I thought it was up to 20 listeners. Come on.
But Coach Kaiser, he bought me and my wife a drink at our anniversary one night. So
look at Kai. No one has ever said Kai wasn't a good guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. So anyway, by the way, I found the name of that podcast is Sports Life Talks. You've got next, or you got next. So again, they're based in Texas, I believe, but they'll talk to anybody, and they even had her highlights from her club team, and Brooklyn's just going. It's just kind of neat, and that they talked to Brooklyn, and Brooklyn was a great representative of Clark County, Washington.
Good,
cool.
Let's see, and then so should we just go to the Mariners now again?
Oh, Paul.
Well, we can. I mean, you are referred to as Positive Paul all the time, and there's not a lot of positive to talk about with these guys right now.
They're in first place. But it hurts for some reason.
You can hear that truck beeping, man. It's backing up. It is backing up right now.
I saw Vlad Guerrero had 17 RBIs last week. So
what?
Vlad Jr. had 17 RBIs last week.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Mariners probably didn't have 17 RBIs the entire week themselves.
Is he a guy that the Mariners would trade for?
The problem is, though, Toronto's starting to win, so they're not going to trade him now.
Exactly.
And the good news is, Tony and I were talking about this while we were waiting before we started the podcast, is, Baltimore's coming to town, and they're not terrible anymore. They're actually one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. So, it's not going to be an easy 3 days here either.
Yeah. But my point about Vlad is that there's no way the Mariners would even if he was available, they wouldn't trade for him. And
they would trade for him, and he would come to Seattle, and he would stink. That's what would happen.
Gosh,
I'd hit like 110.
Yeah. I can feel what you're going through because I'm a Raider fan, so I know Raider fans can't have good things. When something good happens, something bad happens. It's like it just cool. And we get like a week or two, and then something in the news happens. Like what just happened? Yeah, that's us for the last 20 years. But for you guys, it's just you guys forever.
Yeah, I mean there was about a 2 or 3 year stretch there where it was kind of fun to be a Mariner fan, but other than that, it's a lot of torture, man.
At least until October. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. You can win 116 regular season games, and you still can't get past the Yankees.
Doesn't matter. Did
not matter one bit.
But I blame that on A-Rod. It was A-Rod's fault.
Is it always A-Rod's fault?
Well, then it was because he was on the team. But yeah.
That's funny. All right, so here we are. It's 4th of July week. You guys have any traditions on 4th of July? Tony?
Just besides trying to blow up things, no.
Yeah. Blow up things? Okay, Cale?
No, nothing major. We'll just the neighborhood I live in, I don't have to. When the kids were little, we would get some fireworks and so they could light some stuff off, and we would have our own stuff. But then it was very minor compared to what goes on in my neighborhood. I mean, it's like we can just sit on our back patio, and it's like it's a huge show. It's a huge show. Right.
And you do not live in Vancouver city limits, correct?
No, I live in your favorite city, Camas, Washington, Paul.
I wasn't going to – I just set you up so you could say, no, I didn't live in Vancouver. I didn't want people to know that the athletic director for Evergreen Public Schools is actually a Camas taxpayer. I didn't want people to know that. Yeah. You just outed yourself.
But my kids both went to Evergreen schools.
Yes, I know. But wow. So anyway, our tradition for I'd say 9 out of 10 years, we go to Vernonia, Oregon, and it's really fun. So we have family in Vernonia, and they have a nice house with a big backyard, and we do the croquet. We always do croquet, and for whatever reason, I won like 2 or 3 years in a row, long time ago. So now I'm just considered the champion, and everyone tries to team up and top me. And I haven't won in years, but they all act like
Time to beat Paul.
Maybe you come at the king, you best not miss, right? but anyway, it's just hilarious.
The king of croquet, Paul Valencia.
Paul Valencia.
So anyway, I haven't won in years, but I'm still the standard. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway,
well, it's because you're so intimidating. Because I'm sure you're in full Raiders. Garb.
Absolutely,
right?
Because the 4th of July is it's kind of America's birthday, but we're really celebrating Al Davis's birthday, right? And that's I also do that. I always post my picture of Mount Rushmore of the 4 presidents and Al Davis
on
the
like
4th
that.
of July. So, but no, it's really what I love about Vernonia. Oh, well, it is a small town in the Oregon Coast Range, but they really do the flags down Main Street and all that stuff. And I just wanted to give a little shout out to, Ridgefield is much bigger than Vernonia, and it's growing and growing every year, but Ridgefield has a similar thing. So in Clark County, if you are looking for something to do, 4th of July in Ridgefield is special. And you can read about it in Clark County today. We're going to have an advance on that.
There you go.
We actually, last year, we'll probably go back next year, but last year we spent the 4th of July in Gerhardt, Oregon.
Oh, yes.
And the aerial display on the beach in Gerhardt to me, it rivaled what the fort used to do.
Right.
So,
now, I got to ask, is that official Gerhardt's fireworks or is
it's just random Joes down on the beach. Because to the north to Gerhardt North, you can drive onto the beach. So these pyros, they take their trucks down there, and they've got all kinds of stuff, and it's pretty impressive.
Choreographed?
One of my favorite 4th of Julys as a teenager was spending it with friends at Seaside, and basically the lack of law enforcement just saying, well,
whatever,
we don't care. If you're shooting them off of the beach, please don't shoot them at each other and don't kill each other. And I think they've tried to change it, and they do try to enforce things now. I don't know where about Gerhardt, but at Seaside, I think they do try to change it. But back then, it was a night of warfare. I mean, we're firing the fireworks at each other because we're dumb teenage guys, and we're having a blast. But I couldn't believe the illegal fireworks on the beach and this was 40, 50 years ago, whatever, 40 years ago. But anyway, wasn't that long, 35. I just aged myself.
You did.
But
like, how old are you?
but anyway, that stuff was fun. But yeah, I still remember moving, when we first moved to Vancouver, before they banned fireworks in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! It was boom, boom, boom. It was like Saving Private Ryan type of boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, that's how it is in my neighborhood, and it is. I mean, like it's a cool aerial display, but for years I had a dog who she was timid anyway, and it was we had to start taking her over to my mother-in-law's because she couldn't handle it.
I saw a meme the other day that said, "If your dog doesn't like fireworks, it's not because she's scared, it's because she doesn't like freedom." And you need a new dog.
There you go.
Well, Millie's dead, Paul, so I don't need a new dog.
Now look what you did.
Yeah, but I bet your cat was just fine with the fireworks.
Oh, my cat is a hellraiser. Yeah. We have a cat still, and that cat, nothing scares that thing.
So anyway, so I'm going to ask, and I promise I'll give my opinion too. Fireworks, it's a big deal every year, like whether you're pro fireworks or against fireworks. The city of Vancouver, it's been illegal for a few years now, but unincorporated Clark County and most of the cities still, you can have them for, everybody has little different rules. But in Camas, you can do it from 9 a.m. to midnight on the 4th of July. So, but Tony, your thoughts on fireworks?
Pro fireworks?
Pro fireworks.
However, here's my caveat, not even caveat, I guess my epilogue to that would be, I agree, like, as Vancouver's just become more dense, I don't think like what Cale is talking about, because I can remember those days too, where it's just, neighbor after neighbor, your turn to shoot the mortars, and it's just, it doesn't work in the dense neighborhoods we have.
Right. Growing up in Oregon for me, which was always the safe and sane stuff that has to stay near the ground. When I moved to Vancouver for the first time, I was freaked out. This is okay. Joe across the street can buy this. That was great. But anyway, go ahead, Cale.
Yeah, I don't have a big opinion one way or the other. I mean, if I don't understand sometimes how people decide they want to spend that much money on something I'm just going to blow up, which is great.
That's like freedom, Cale. That's freedom.
That's true.
That is the sound.
That's true.
The sound of freedom.
And then just don't be stupid with them, because every year there's always, stuff happens, right? And somebody blows their garage up because so hey, if you want to blow your garage up, I guess just don't blow my stuff up.
Right. And so for me, I'm in the middle too. I kind of and by the way, also in our neighborhood, there's still a lot of fireworks.
I'm sure.
And I do live in the city of Vancouver, so, but it's not nearly as much as it used to be. But again, there was one year where we went out to Vernonia, and then we came home, and there was a big. Our yard had a big hole it was all black and fire. And the neighbor came over. Sorry, Paul,
man.
But we put it out pretty fast. As you could see, it didn't spread. And this was one of those years where right now my grass is like half green and half brown, and we don't water in the summer. We're environmentally conscious, that.
Look at you.
Right, whatever. I'm just lazy. But anyway. There's been some years on the 4th of July, it's all brown already. And so that was one of those years it was all brown. And that's why I've kind of changed my thing. I used to be all about fireworks. And one year I bought a bunch of the Washington kind, and then we went to Vernonia and we shot them off in Vernonia. And the people whose house we were in Vernonia, they were like, "Oh my God, you could buy those in Washington?" They couldn't believe it, and then they said no more because they were afraid we're going to burn the forest down in Vernonia. And I said, "Well, that's how we feel like in our neighborhoods in Vancouver." Yeah. So I'm not. I'm okay one way or the. I guess I'm okay one way or the other. I love the freedom. I love the 4th of July and the loud noises, but I would rather have professionals do it. I wish there were more shows in the area.
I miss the fort.
I miss Fort Vancouver fireworks, and because I'd rather have the professionals doing it as opposed to my neighbors who burn holes in my grass.
Yeah.
So
started multiple fires in my proximity of my house. Yeah.
All right. And then let's see. We'll go back. We've talked about this last time. We don't know how often we're going to do our podcast, every few weeks in the summer. So I'm going to ask you guys, do you guys have any big summer plans? Tony, do you have a
Hawaii?
Hawaii.
Yes.
Cool. Well, all right. I don't need the exact dates, but Do you go to Hawaii a lot, or is this new?
No, I don't go a lot, but this would be my second time in 3 years.
Oh, nice. Yeah. All right. Cale?
A couple of golf trips to Central Oregon area, and then a 50th birthday collective trip to Mexico.
Ooh, Mexico. Cool. All right. That's awesome. 50th birthday.
Yeah.
Wow. You don't look over 40. Isn't that amazing?
Well,
there you go.
See,
it's the shirt.
It's the shirt. It makes me look younger.
So then, of course, I just got back from Minneapolis last week, and I am, anybody our age who understands Purple Rain and First Avenue, and you guys are probably looking at me like, you're crazy. I don't know.
Paul, remember
I
your
had
age.
the album.
Yeah.
Come on now. I saw the movie.
Yeah, but so we went both nights. We saw the Revolution on Friday and Saturday. And Friday we were about 7 deep from the stage because it's just a mass of people. It's a club. It's a real tiny club, and we got to experience. I was standing kind of right where Morris Day would have been standing at the end when he pumps the fist and he actually shows that the kid made it. The kid did it at the very end when he does Purple Rain. I Would Die for You and Baby I'm a Star. The very end of the movie is some of the greatest concert footage of all time. And so Morris Day is right there on the floor, and that's where I was. So I was doing that. And then we ran into the guy Billy, the guy who played the club owner. We ran into him. I was coming out of the hotel elevator. He was coming in our hotel. And then on Saturday, we went back to see the Revolution again, and we were center stage, but way, way back. So we could just see this mass of people in front of us doing what we did. And it's like I was in the crowd 40 years ago in the same place, and I was looking around. It looks the same as in the movie, the railings and the balcony where the dancers were, and even the Revolution. So the Revolution, the 5 of them that were in the movie, that were in the Revolution, are still playing.
Yeah.
Was Lisa part of that?
Wendy and Lisa?
Yeah.
Yes. So they were there, and Wendy said some wonderful things about how, it was actually 1983 when they performed Purple Rain live for the first time, and it was right there. And that performance was recorded and is part of the album. And then, of course, they redid some stuff for the movie. But the movie and the album came out in 1984, which is the 40th anniversary. But it was 1983 when Wendy was 19 years old playing that song for the first time live. And then she said her mind was just blown that here we are, 40 years later, 41 years later, and we're doing it again, and all you people keep showing up. And for us, it's they even said, please sing along, because we're doing this for Prince to keep Prince's music alive, and it's for all of us. So it was really, I don't know who your favorite musical person is, and whether but this was pretty. That's what it was for me. So we were happy with that. And then our next trip, we are probably going to Raiders training camp, which is in Costa Mesa.
That's right,
Costa Mesa. We'll go to our training camp, and then I'm just, me, I'm just ready for Raider trips in the fall, and so. But my summer vacation is just getting ready for football season.
Paul, did back to Minneapolis, did Morris Day and the Time perform?
Yes, they did. So they did at the State Theater, which is just a couple blocks away from First Avenue. So
did you see that?
I did not. We saw the Revolution back-to-back nights.
Oh, true.
And so it was it was an either-or type of thing, and so we wanted to see the Revolution both nights.
All right.
Yep. So anyway, let's see. That's kind of it for us today, I think. So let's see. I don't know if we have anything else. Do you guys have anything else you want to add?
We're good.
I think we're good.
No, I think that about does it.
All right. Well, happy 4th of July, everybody. And until next time, keep safe.